Alright, these recordings always end up on the internet on YouTube or here on Twitch, so alright. So if you're watching this on a recording, welcome. My name is K. Michael Russell. I'm a comic book colorist, and welcome. This is a piece. Last stream, I also colored a piece by my friend Geoffrey Gwynn, and we'll be doing it again with this one. And so yeah, it's the characters from Rogue One. It's gotten it was flatted, but I haven't actually changed any of the flat colors, so it's kind of a mess right now. So and I thought about, since it's kind of an action piece, going a little bit painterly with this, being a little bit rougher with the colors than the Thundercats one. Anything I do on this is going to look good, though. That's not a. I don't mean that as far as from my perspective. I mean anything that Geoffrey draws, I love. So I'm debating about where to start this one. I think I'm just going to hide the flats and paint it. Use the flats to kind of control the edges a little bit, but it's kind of how I did the Pensacon VIP, the Poseidon looking dude. You may have seen on the YouTube channel a while back. So I don't know. I'm just gonna start messing around and see what happens. So I'm thinking I want to use some reds and oranges and as kind of the, I don't know, he's got red, they both got red in their costumes, so I don't know. I literally have not thought about this until right now, so you guys get to see me staring at it and being bored. Not bored, but you might be bored watching me try to figure this out. I like to start, if I'm just going to be going from scratch and doing a more painty thing with it, I usually try to why did that not, oh, okay, I see what happened. I can't remember what I was saying just then. I forgot it just that quick. It depends on the piece, but with something like this, I'm just going to start putting like a flat kind of neutral color. It's not really that saturated, and it's not really that distracting or anything, but it's just a good baseline color that isn't going to dramatically impact anything or decisions and those sort of things. But I'm trying to work out what would work well with their colors, and I've got some reference over here on the left. You guys are going to see me check it out. So real quick, I'm just going to do a really fast, nasty color study on this. It's not really a color study. That sounds way too formal for me. But just really rough, like super rough, and see what I end up with here and see what colors I want to use. He's pretty much the color of the background. And this is all just on one layer on top of the flats. The flats are just turned off right now, so you can't see them. I've also got some like shots of Rogue One from the movie over here. to my right. I might try to you just use it as a. It's really a scene that wasn't in the movies at all, so I might try to use that as a strictly. I can't think right now. I think I'm still sick. Use it as a rough guide anyway. I'm not gonna go in here and go crazy, but and I need to know what color the rebel flags are. The Star Wars rebel flags. I know it's red, right? Like the middle symbol. It doesn't have like a set scheme. It's just a symbol, it seems like. Probably red on white would look good. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the sky at all in this color. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. So maybe they're on a desert planet or something. We're just gonna say they are. Again, right now, this is just a really... Oh, that's not his gun. I'm painting this spire like it's his weapon. There goes his gun. But this is strictly just a rough idea of what I want to do. If these flags are gray... That might work. White stormtroopers. That's probably in the ballpark where this is going to end up, but who knows? Alright, so I have my flats below. I've got the fill turned all the way off so you can't actually see them. But there's my flat colors underneath. I don't really want them impacting what I'm doing at all, so... I'm thinking this is going to be like a, dusty battle going on here. And I want to create a lot of atmosphere here. There's a couple of levels going on here. You guys that have taken my course have heard me talk about this, if anybody has. But we've got, let me do this on top. We got these guys. This would be your foreground. And that's going to be, of course, your focal point, and the most contrast is going to be there. You've got some people in front, which will do something to sort of make you want to look past that. Change this color. You've got all of these guys in pretty much their own level, and so I'll probably do color holds and push that back even more to change the color of the lines. And then on top of that, if you go even further back, you've got the ships back here. So those are going to be way, way off in the distance, and I want it to be a sort of piece where you don't catch it all at one time. You start looking at it, and you notice the guys up front, and they look awesome and kick-ass, and the more you look around, it's like, oh man, there's this thing back there, and there's a ship up there, and anyway. Alright, so I'm going to start kind of flatting this thing. Whoops. Don't paint on your flats, people. Oh, I used a massive brush there. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Alright, lock your flats so you don't paint over them. And that's not what I wanted to do there at all. That brush is massive. And I'm sort of thinking of the final colors here, but or what I think they're going to be, but again, it's not super important if they're not perfect at this stage. Because I do a lot of tweaking and editing and all this kind of stuff, kind of in between everything. So don't worry about it being perfect the first time you go to flat everything. That's my opinion anyway. And I don't want to go, if I want these flags to read as gray, I don't want to just go gray, because if you do completely gray, they almost want to turn cool, like almost bluish, because of everything around it is warm. So you kind of have to add some warmth to it so that it reads as like a light gray or a white, without actually being gray. If you color pick that, it's pretty gray, but it's got some color in it, because the light and the atmosphere and all that stuff is gonna affect that, obviously. And it's cool that it's got the Rebel logos on them, because you can sort of use that to it creates a little bit of balance in the piece. If you're gonna have all this red up here up front, so it's sort of like Bob Ross used to say, spread the color around the canvas. I don't know, it just helps tie everything together a little bit. But that's going to be less saturated, and because it's further back in the background. Alright, and there's Boba Fett hiding back here, by the way. There he is. Alright, I'm trying to get all of the Stormtroopers armor selected. This is not his armor. Nobody's chatting tonight. You guys want me to just shut up and color? Probably. Last time I did this, Guffrey the artist actually showed up, so I don't know, maybe I'll do that again today. This is late notice. It is 9 o'clock on a Thursday. If you're just joining, welcome. I'm looking at some reference over here. Oh wow, okay. Perfect. I just found like a massive like 5,000 pixel picture of these two guys. That is perfect. This is another good example of how important that like color relativity is. You know, this really reads as like an olive green, but it's really not that green. It's all this warmth around it. It's kind of throwing things off here. I should be right back. Okay, sorry, thought I heard something. You guys normally get to see me skip the boring part, but I didn't have time this week. I have to look for some more shots of these dudes from behind. Get all the colors on this thing right. Okay, here's a little flatting tip for you flatters out there. And I have a great flatter, but just generally speaking, if you have like all these guns, I'm fine with the guns all being a different color, but I would say make the one up front a different color, and that way you're because you know they're probably not going to be the same color, or they shouldn't be anyway. I mean, even if they are the same actual color, your ones up front should be darker, and the ones in the back would be lighter because you've got atmospheric perspective and all that stuff going on. Sorry I don't have anything exciting to talk about right now. It's pretty dry stuff at this point. This picture is crazy high resolution. I gotta show this to you guys. Look at the detail in this picture. This picture's like 5,000 pixels or something. Like what you're looking at is about 1080p, like just in this box. Let me slide this over. There we go. Yeah, look at the size of this picture. You can see the dude's pores. I mean, this is great. It's great for me. Look at all this little intricate stuff. This is really cool. This is like a cosplayer's dream. You can see exactly what everything looks like. The wood grain and the staff, that's nuts. It's very cool, but it's nuts. We're almost done flatting this thing, though. Almost. I'll end up going in here and adding more detail in this stick, I'm sure. Or it's a bow, I guess it is, yeah. Some sort of fancy Star Wars bow. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. There's a chat window, chat box, if you're not used to Twitch. Not sure what happened to my... oh, I know what happened. Okay. The flats got really light because I had the fill set too low. And not that it matters that much, I guess, but... just to make sure they all stay separate. Yeah, let's turn that... alright, cool. Alright, so we're almost ready to start doing some painting on this thing. Alright, so it's pretty much flatted. Oh, I skipped this little section here. I separated this earlier, but forgot to separate it in the flats. Might as well go ahead and get Boba Fett right now. I'll forget about him and make him a stormtrooper later. This just stinks because he's so small. I'm going to paint him all the right color and you're not even going to be able to see this stuff. But I feel like he needs to be done justice. It is Boba Fett we're talking about here. I actually met Jeremy Bulloch, who was the original Boba Fett. The guy that played him in the costume. I don't know. I don't think he did the voice, but maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, I got to ride an elevator with him at Pensacon in Pensacola. And I can be pretty rough with this because, of course, this is super small. Really not gonna see this, but might as well get it right. Some fan's gonna notice him and they're gonna say, "Oh man, you should have done his whatever this color." So let me get it right. Yeah, he won't stay anywhere near that saturated in the final version, but anyway. Alright, so now what? I'm going to go ahead and do the color holds, which is what the industry calls when you change the color of lines, and I don't know why it's called that, before you ask. Sorry, I don't know. I have an action in Photoshop set up just for that purpose because it's, I don't know, the way that I learned to do it, there's a bunch of steps. this creating channels and all this stuff. It's like 10 steps, so you definitely don't want to do that every time. So so yeah, I just made an action, makes that work. And I'm gonna make this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select it and then I'm gonna fill it. It's just on top. I'm really just using this to save the selection. Because it makes me nervous if I'm working in one part of the image and I accidentally deselect something. I don't want to have to deselect it all again or reselect it all again. So I just fill it with yellow or some color. It doesn't really matter. Something really different than the rest of the picture, and that way I can tell what I've done and haven't done, especially with something like this that is going to be a pretty complex selection here, going around all this stuff. So, and all the little white spaces that you see in between here really helps to select this stuff, because you don't really have to be as accurate with it. And I'm holding down Control to switch back and forth from the polygonal version that does straight lines, and then also the version where you can draw. I don't know what just happened to my selection. See, that's why I do that, because still selections sometime in Photoshop just seem to randomly disappear. That's also why I make so many little small selections, is because it keeps me from having to undo parts of it or redo parts of it if I mess up. You know, I haven't watched a ton of artists on Twitch. I've watched a handful. Do most of them talk, or they just work, or I don't really... I'm used to YouTube, so I'm used to just yammering constantly. You guys aren't talking at all tonight. Which is fine. Lurk if you want to. So supposedly, and I haven't actually tested this. I need to. Supposedly, YouTube is supposed to notify you, or put a notification up that I'm on Twitch right now if you look at one of my videos. Let's see. Well, I'm not seeing it. I'll have to check it again later. Or maybe I can't see my own. That's possible. Alright, so I've got all of my... let's see, hold selection. I'm just dragging that to the bottom so it's out of the way. There's probably an easier way to do that. I don't know what it is. So now, I'm selecting all the lines. And I'm going to colorize them. And then start lightening them. Now you can see they're a lot lighter than the rest of the blacks in there in the image. I usually play around with, you know, it's typically the color of the the environment, I guess, that I would use more than anything else to do that. But it instantly creates some depth, and these dudes are way back here, so I can push them back even further if I wanted to. So again, it just really makes it easy to create some atmosphere without having to do a whole lot of rendering. And I like to work on backgrounds first a lot, which is, I don't know, I'm not as excited about working on backgrounds, so I try to, that and that, why is that a different color? Bear with me a second here, change these colors. Man, these flats are funky looking now. I just don't have to reselect that stuff again. And I don't want, because as you go into the atmosphere, further back in the atmosphere, things have less and less contrast. So I don't want a ton of contrast in the background, because I'm going to really have all of my contrast on the figures in the front, or most of it anyway. And other than the light coming from the top, there doesn't really seem to be a super strong angle on this light source, so yeah, we can have to be perfect with that. So I can go back and add more detail later. Right now I just want to kind of hint at the fact that there's some kind of light going on back here. But like I said earlier, it's really far in the background, so I want to keep it simple. Ooh, I like that brush. This I didn't think to use this earlier. This is one of Kyle Webster's brushes. It's a I call it Dave Stewart because Dave Stewart, if you didn't know, is a probably the best colorist that ever lived. And he does this thing with, I noticed it on Rumble, this book called Rumble. He does this kind of background brushy thing. And this brush reminded me a lot of that, so yeah, this brush actually has a lot better texture than the one I was using. Whoops. There we go. And I'm kind of cheating just a little bit because I've got a little bit brighter around those rebel symbols to make those stand out a little bit more, even though it doesn't really make sense from a storytelling standpoint. I'm putting a black layer on top of everything and setting it to screen, and I'll use that for kind of a special effects layer on top of everything. The screen stuff just works better on having something there. And I don't know, I don't want to completely wash out these ships, but I just want a hint of some light around the top of this thing to again create some more depth up here. Alright, I'm probably going to need this later while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to go ahead and select all of the foreground. Alright, and what that's going to do is allow me to quickly grab the entire foreground without having to go in and do what I'm doing right now, which is select all of it separately. And I'm making sure I haven't grabbed anything else. I'm going to leave these guys at the bottom separate because I might do something else with them. So I'm going to call this layer Big Flats. And it's really just a more simplified flat selection, basically. And I'll put all those guys at the bottom a different color, and everything else is what it is. So yeah. So the last thing I'm going to do for now with the background is deal with the stormtroopers, and I should also make all of them the same color, or make a flat selection for them, but we can skip that for now. We'll see. Maybe not, maybe I should. So I'm going to go back and probably tweak these guys a bunch. Or I may have to. Boba Fett is not one. Alright, so you guys can see what that looks like on the bottom. It's just everything in the groups. It's easier to select things that way. Now I can go down my big flats and grab one stormtrooper and they all get selected. This picture is kind of the opposite of a lot of things that I've done lately, which is using a lot of what I did last time anyway, a lot of mask and that kind of thing. And again, these guys are way in the background, so you don't have to be perfect with this. He is not selected. Let's do that. Whoops. Thank goodness these guys have costumes that are all one color. Thank goodness I didn't have to draw it. Geoffrey had to draw it. I don't know if I'll keep these guys this light, but for now I'm just going to do them the same way. And I can always adjust later. Why can't I draw that? Oh, because it's screwed up. Oh, wait a second here. Bear with me. There we go. And I'm being a little bit more careful in here, but you know, if you watch the last one, you know, Geoffrey's art is very loose. It's extremely loose. So you know, the colors match. So I don't overthink it. And the more you get into it, of course, the more you can go in and you know, tweak things if you want. A little bit more contrast around his signature. At least you can see it better. I still think they're a little too white in the background, like their costumes are too light. So I'm going to I want to darken them a little bit, not much. Alrighty. So, background's pretty close to being done. Why is that drawing on top of that guy? There we go. Alright, so alright, so I'm looking at the Or I'll show you guys again. So I'm looking at this reference. It's really kind of dusty and all these guys are beat up, so I'm going to try to do something like that. And this is a Noah Bradley brush, I believe it is. And I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to do this on a separate layer, just in case. Trying to get the right color here. Don't really want it pink. That is perfect. Alright, so since I want to be able to easily kind of turn this off and on, or at least you know, easily edit it, I'm going to do all this dust on a mask layer. It's a color adjustment layer with the mask, basically. Solid color adjustment layer. We'll call this dust. And don't like that as much. Where was I? I can't remember which brush I was using a second ago. That's it. Yeah, I'm just trying to muddy this up, basically. I ain't really worried about rendering yet. But now I can easily, you know, impact how much of that is on there. I don't want it super, I want it subtle. So, something like that. And this isn't like a bright sunshiny day or anything, so I don't want to I don't want there to be like huge what's the word I'm looking for here. I don't want a ton of contrast in these lights, but I do want a little bit. Oh, thanks, Evan. I've really only done the background, so if you've just joined us, I'm working on it. I've started with the some of the other stuff, but I haven't really done a whole lot with it yet. Nope, I don't like that. These sort of pieces like this are fun time to sort of experiment. So it's really just for fun. It's maybe maybe a print or something, but. Oh, thank you, Lintastic. I didn't think anybody was going to say anything tonight. We are now we're now an hour and 15 minutes into the stream. This is the first time anyone said anything. So I don't know what to expect. I haven't really done enough streams to know what to expect from Twitch, so I don't know. I'm fine with the quiet or the talking or whatever you guys want to do. Yeah, the weekend crowd is also considerably larger than the weekday crowd, which I guess I should not be surprised by. Let's see, let's do that. I need some details on this gun. Pretty simple gun, except for a couple little spots of color. That's basically it. His armor is a lot shinier in this other picture that I'm found here, so I might crank up the contrast a little bit on some of this stuff. If I had to pick a favorite colorist, who would it be? I guess it depends. It depends on favorite at what. Because like overall, I would, it's kind of the standard answer, but Dave Stewart's sort of the overall just storyteller, great palettes. He's probably the best, I think, that there ever was. But I like Marta Gracia's rendering a lot. And like Edgar Delgado, I like him a lot because he's really he's the first colorist that I was like, that I remember noticing, and Jordi Belair is amazing, of course. Like there's a lot of good colorists out there. Sorry, I'm looking for more reference. Yeah, this thing is actually pretty shiny. I'm not crazy about this pink color. There we go. That's what I had wrong. That pink was throwing me off. Much, much better. Again, I'm just kind of trying to hint at that there's more going on here. The style of this, it doesn't have to be doesn't really have to be perfect. It just has to give you some kind of indication that there's more happening there. And again, that gives us more contrast too, which is always good. Hello, the art of DHT. I think that a lot of colorists at some point have bland color problems. I don't know. You get in certain little ruts and things, and And if you've been watching since the beginning, you'll see there's a lot more contrast in all of these parts of the image than in the back. You know, very low contrast because again, you're needing to create a focal point there, and like a focus for the reader to land on there. I got away from using the screen brush when I realized that you just can't control your colors very well with it, and it tends to just wash things out instead of it's hard to get good bright contrast in screen mode because it tends to desaturate as it you know, as you're using it. So I don't know. I kind of drifted away from it and started painting a lot more in either normal mode or hard light because you have much better control over your colors that way. Sure, I'll take a look at something real quick if you want. I don't have a whole lot of time to look at it, but I'll give you my 2 cents. Yeah, there's a lot of things in my older videos that I just really don't like. You know, yeah, I mean, everybody has to start somewhere, I guess, but that's part of the reason why I re-recorded the basics videos, because one, it was one of my earliest videos, and I really just, I don't know, it didn't sound good. I didn't like anything about that video. So you know, I guess that's gonna happen. It's just like art. You're gonna run into the things that you like about your old stuff, and you're gonna run into things that you hate about your old stuff. Oh yeah, that video gets a ton of views. It still does, and it's fine. I mean, it's not bad. It's a good start, but it's not terrible. But I didn't really know what I was doing from a YouTube standpoint either, and so it's changed a lot. But yeah, that's by far my most popular video. What happened was I posted it on Reddit right after I put it up in the comic book subreddit, and it kind of went crazy. Like, it just got a ton of views, and it sort of helped launch my channel, though. It just completely picture doesn't get any better. It really helped launch my channel, though, honestly. So I don't complain about it. It is what it is. So this thing is actually a good bit darker than this. Oh crap. Yeah, I've thought about redoing that. I might do that one day. Problem now is just, man, time. I just don't have the time anymore to do every little project that I wish I could do. That's one of them. I've got that on a list somewhere. The good thing is I've already flatted it, so I could probably just paint over what I did. I don't know. All right, so looking at this in black and white to see, I need a little bit more contrast around this guy's head to me. Thank you, Brooks, for auto hosting. I appreciate it. All right, so I'll tell you what I'm seeing here. I don't like. Let me draw for you here. I don't like that these guys back here. Why is that right? These guys are so close in value to like that bright spot on his head. And this is probably me being too picky, but I really want this to be a stronger silhouette right here, basically. So colorists are always tricking people into thinking or doing things that really have nothing to do with reality to make a page work. So I'm going to select all of the background behind him and the stormtroopers. And I'm going to make, what do I want to do here? I want to lose some of that white, so I'm going to get a brush and maybe they're in the shadows now. We're getting there. Getting better. Delete that. Sorry, I'm in that mode now where I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do next. Because it's close as far as the rendering goes. There's not much else I'm gonna want to do on it, but I like to start playing around with just value and contrast and those sort of things and see if I can get more out of it. I don't want to go, it's going to be a print, of course you got to be careful going too dark. I don't want to do that. So this is usually just experiment stage. Don't freak out, it's not going to stay like this. That blue is not what I'm looking for. Alright, thanks guys. Have a good one. Let's see. It's just more orange. I guess that makes sense for this piece though. I don't like anything else I'm doing here. A little bit more yellow is not bad though. So that's on a solid color adjustment layer with a mask, so I can easily go in and paint it out at the top, because it's really the contrast at the bottom is what is going on. Oh, there we go. It's the contrast at the bottom that I want. I don't really want it up here so much. I can basically paint that back out. And these guys have had their ass kicked, so I'm thinking they need to be like dirtied up here. Again, this is a good example too of what I call strategic rendering. It's you're putting the shadow where it matters most, but you're putting the detail where it matters the most, I should say, and not worrying about it as much everywhere else. I think I've lost the stormtroopers a little too much back here. Just a little bit. Again, like really subtle. I'm gonna lighten these guys up. So this is, it's getting there. I keep saying that and keep finding new things I want to do to it. So, I don't know if the destroyers are too subtle in the background. I think I kind of like them where they are. It's pretty realistic. I want to, this, for whatever reason, this tower stuck out to me as not being, it's kind of rendered in a very vague, kind of lazy way, so. Yeah. And all I'm doing is I'm cutting off all of the layers to get down to the color underneath it. My only issue now is there's not enough contrast in, let's do this, between these guys in the background, kind of right across the middle of the page, and I'm not exactly sure how to handle that. Because he's pretty much solid black, so the background needs to be fairly light, but he's lighter, it needs to be a little bit darker. That makes sense. You don't want to go too red because then you lose the contrast between the red and the background. First world colorist problems. I can go darker in that little spot there though, I'm pretty sure. I'm just kind of playing around with some preset color. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's not perfect, but... Oh, Photoshop is... Ooh, I thought Photoshop froze for a second. Let's save that. wonder. I'm thinking. I know this is dangerous. Okay, why is... Okay, bear with me a second. There we go. Okay. Sometimes I have to minimize and maximize Photoshop to get something to work right. So, I'm not crazy about what I'm looking at, but there's something about it that I like. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I think it's the way the background looks, but I don't like it on the foreground, guys. So, going to get rid of it. I officially have more layers than I want now. Let's see. Let's group some of this crap together. Bringing my yellow sky back. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Alright, so... I just want to go in here and lighten this up that I forgot to do. This guy just looks like he should be pink if he's in the Star Wars universe. I usually don't do near this many layers when I'm doing a page, but with something like this that I know I'm going to be shifting things around, then yeah, I will. Alright, so... I just want a little more contrast in a couple of places. Alright, I think this one is about wrapped up. One other thing I want to try real quick. The lines on the guys in the front. I'm wondering what it would look like if they were a little bit lighter. Not much, but just a little bit. I don't know how well that'll print, but we shall see. Oh, I didn't do this dude's fingers. Alright, well, I think I'm going to step away from this one for a bit and take a second look at it before we wrap this up. But I think that's about it. So, so yeah, here's the final piece, and oh, I messed up the, what is that? What layer is that? Oh, the color holes. Let's fix that real quick. Not sure how I managed to do that. Anyway, alright guys, well, thanks always for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. If you want to learn more about how to do this, I do have a coloring course. There's a link below the video in Twitch, and be sure to follow me on YouTube. If you don't, you can do that too. So, see you next time. So as soon as I ended the stream, I decided to change the background from that to that. I think it's a much stronger competition. So anyway, this is going to be closer to what the final one looks like. So I'm going to send this excuse me, sorry about that. Let's send this over to Geoffrey. We'll see what he thinks. Bye again.